I attended their meeting twice.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. I'm Becky Greenwald, your president, and welcome to the July 27th meeting of the Rotary Club of Des Moines. And I'd like to give a nice thank you to Kevin Kassir, who stepped in for me last week when I was out of town on a business trip. Thanks, Kevin. Okay. So, you know, throughout the year, I'm sharing brief club highlights at our regular Thursday meetings. We're looking back at our long legacy of service, highlighting what we're doing these days, and today we're going to have a little fun with one of our members. So it's time for some audience participation as we guess the Rotarian. Who is this aspiring rock star? Who's going to say it first? Who is it? Who is it? Oh, wait, I can't hear that. Sean the loudest. Sean Mullen? Who said that? I heard you. Okay, well.
Before he cut his hair.
Before he cut his hair? I think we should ask Sean to bring his drumsticks the next time we have a meeting. We can have a little
We should have a
practice session.
have a traditional drum off.
That's right, that would be good. So let's see, who of the people that said Sean's name, stand up really quick. Because we've got a little prize that we have to figure out who's going to get it. So look at you guys, you're in contention for the gift for this week. So, who has their birthday closest to this date moving forward? Today is July 27th.
I'm June.
June, oh, that's, sorry, who's got a birthday in July? Nobody yet? How about August? August, anybody else in August? Oh, guess what, oh, wait.
August 14th.
The 14th? Okay. Then you are the deserving, oh wait, there's one more, what?
No, Steve Jacobs.
Steve was the 17th.
Yeah, but Mike didn't say his name. He wasn't part of the team.
Oh, you didn't?
I didn't what?
Did you say Sean's name when you yelled out names of people?
Did you guess who that was in the picture? No.
Sean's name
No.
there.
Oh, okay.
No.
Okay, sorry, you don't get to compete in that one. Okay.
I think this is Rick.
Mr. Jacobs, you are now the proud owner of Tickets for Two to the Des Moines Playhouse, courtesy of our studio. Thank you, Des Moines Playhouse. So I told you we're going to interject some fun, so audience participation is always appreciated. And try not to rig it, Stan. We're trying to keep it up and up. Okay, so we'd like to have a moment of inspiration in just a few more minutes. But right now, in a very serious and inspiring moment, we have a Rotarian here today with us who is celebrating 50 years as a Rotary Club member. Jim Vickery, member of our club, first joined back in July 26, 1973. And out of those 50 years, Jim was perfect attendance for 40 of the 50 years. That in itself is an amazing feat. Jim has served as past president of our club in 1981 and 82 Rotary year, and he's also a past district governor of District 6000. We are so happy to help celebrate the 50th Rotary anniversary of Jim. I want to thank you, Jim, for your service to Club number 27, where Rotary means business. Let's give Jim a great round of applause. Thank you. 50 years and counting. Now, we had another great Club 27 example happening just this last night and this morning. And Doug Saltzgaber and his neighbor David Oman hosted the Rotary Ragbri team in their neighborhood last night. And the deal was, I understand they were going to provide running water and a place to camp. But it turns out, of course, Val Saltzgaber, who I understand is a fantastic cook, prepared delicious dinner and breakfast for the 15 Rotary riders that were camped out, not on the tents as they planned, but around the house inside with Doug and Val. So he took mercy on them with all that hot weather. So they are just a fantastic duo. Thank you for having your neighborhood hosting them. There was also, you can see in this the photos here, The lower right is a picture of the president from the one of the Texas Rotary Clubs who was here with her shelter box and her 2 sons as well. So I think you all showed the Rotarians on their bicycles a great time in Des Moines. We want to say thank you for that. And, kind of thinking about some special extra things that Rotarians are doing to do goodwill and nice things. We have one more gift certificate from the Playhouse, and guess what? Doug and Val, maybe we should give this one to Val especially, because I'm thinking she was doing all the cooking, right? So pass along our sincere thanks and appreciation, and we'll get you, Rotary's got your tickets for you. Kitty has them right there, so thank you. Isn't that great? Thank you. I was really tempted to sneak down and just see what all was going on down there in the neighborhood, but I didn't do it. So anyway, so now Bob Vedral will give a moment of inspiration and lead us to the Pledge of Allegiance and our 5-way test. Don't have to stand up yet.
Well, we want Bob to give us the 5-way test.
Okay.
I told Kitty I was going to, because I'm not very political, I was going to say why Democrats are better in promoting the arts than Republicans, but I'm not going to go there. Anyway, Kitty. The arts matter because art is meant to move people, either on an intellectual or emotional level. Whether this is a book that stays with you days later, or a performance that moves you spiritually, or a song that makes you look at the world around you in a different way. The purpose of art is to cause a reaction, and with this purpose, it can create a synergy of change in attitudes, perceptions, and thoughts. Lastly, the arts matter because they help us see the world from a different perspective. They give us empathy and help us understand people, places, periods of history, and issues with which we may otherwise be unfamiliar. They comfort us in grief and energize us in celebration. They are important because they can act as a catalyst for change. They can start a revolution. The arts ignite something in our brains that I can't explain, but I know it's essential for life. Now, Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now the 5-way test.
Is it true? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
And is it fun? Make it fun. A creature of fellow Rotarians.
Hey there. Good morning. Nice to see you. Nice to meet you. Standing over here by yourself.
Yeah, walking around.
Hey, Chris. Thank you. Officially. Nice to, thank you. And sharing lunch. Thank you, sir. Thank you again. It's whatever. It's over here. Yep. Just a civic center bring gifts.
We'd like to get going and welcome our 2 guests that joined us here today. We'd like to have our guests stand as I call your name, and please remain standing so that we can applaud at the end. Ryan Crane is here with the Des Moines Community Playhouse, and Innocent Dayunbahi is a guest of our club. Innocent, if you would stand too, please. And please welcome our 2 guests. And thank you so much for being here and joining us. And guess what? It's tumbler time. So please consider donating $5 if you don't have a little green sign on your name badge. And even if you do, we'd always accept another contribution if you feel so inclined. And as always, thank you for your continued support. And now, Chris Anderson is here to introduce our keynote speaker today. Chris.
Thank you, Becky. David Kilpatrick is our guest speaker today. He is the Executive Director at the Playhouse. And David joined the Community Playhouse in 2017 and brought a wealth of professional and community theater experience from around the country. Prior, he was the Executive Director at La Crosse Community Theater and the Old Creamery Theater in Amana, Iowa. David's career has included producing artistic director of a small professional theater, owner of a dinner theater, production manager, director, lighting designer, and professional stage manager. David's education includes degrees from George Mason University, Missouri State, and University of Missouri, with a dissertation on the exploration of the audience preparing for the show. David has a lovely wife who works via internet for a title company in Missouri, and a daughter who is a junior at Drake majoring in theater. David, welcome.
Thank you. I spent 20 years trying to talk her out of getting a degree in theater, and I failed miserably. But anyhow, welcome. It's just an absolute pleasure to be here. I know I was here many years ago as a regular member, and then worked around and found a different club for a period of time and continued to explore, but I thank you so very much for this opportunity. I also, as I was talking with Chris, is like, does the Civic Center ever give out gifts? But those were, so, keep bringing me, I'll be bringing you gifts. That, by the way, was a pair of tickets that went to each of those individuals that they can use at any time for any show, anytime in the future. They're non-expiring. So that was just our little way of saying thank you for letting the Playhouse come present its story and talk about theater. So, of course, as Chris said, my name is David Kilpatrick, and I've been here in Des Moines since 2017, and I've had a really grand time. We've learned so much. The support of the Playhouse and the arts in general has just been wonderful. We're about to enter our 105th season, and that's 105 years that we've been entertaining the Des Moines region, and we do it because of audiences of every stripe and every political leaning. Sorry, Bob, I had to throw that in. Anyhow, that's what we do best, is community theater, serving the community. I always like to start with our mission, which of course is to create extraordinary shared experiences through live theater. And that's one of the things that I hope you experienced during COVID, was that there's entertainment. You can find any kind of entertainment, but shared entertainment is a different thing, and you can only find that at live performances. And shared means sitting next to somebody you don't know who's laughing because they see something funny and you laugh too. It's also watching a human being on the stage present that to you for the very first time. And it's the first time that night. And so however long it's been going on, shared experiences are something very valuable to us. The other thing is a vision to be the home for the artistic collaboration where any story can be told. That's what theater does best, is tell stories. We want to be able to tell all kinds of stories. Stories from a variety of perspectives and a variety of viewpoints. That's important to us. We also have 4 values. The story, committing to tell the story with cultural and artistic integrity. A space, accessible home for theater experiences. And accessible is not just for those who might have some mobility issues, but it's accessible for those who want to hear and see themselves on stage. The community, bringing friends and neighbors together to create live theater. And of course, the individual, honoring each person's unique contributions, perspectives, and talents. This is our goals. These are our commitments, our visions, our values. So, that's what we've been doing for 105 years. We do have a policy: when you get together, more than 3 people must have a commercial. So this is what we're currently doing on the stage right now, Little Shop of Horrors. It closes on Sunday. I'd like to point out that we're actually doing we added a performance on Saturday, so there's 2 performances on Saturday, 2 o'clock matinee and a 7:30. There's not a lot of seats, but if you were to call Ryan or myself, we'll get you in. We'll make sure if you want to see the show, we'll take care of you. But I do hope you'll check it out. It's so much fun, just perfect summer fair theater, and we have air conditioning. So I just share with you. All right. So first of all, here's an example of the whole people that are involved to create a show. This is just one play, Harriet the Spy, our children's theater production. And all of those people, just those in costume are the performers you see. Everybody else is backstage, and that's only who was there each night. It does not involve all the people that took to create theater before we even got to opening night. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about what's coming in our 105th season. We'll start with the Children's Theater, then I'm going to get to what's happening in the John Byers Theater, and then, time permitting, and I'm watching closely, we'll get to what we're doing in our construction project and how we're really going to turn the community theater into one more avenue for serving the community. Our 105th season starts with Seussical the Musical. That comes in October. That's our children's theater production. That's going to be taking place in the John Byers Theater this year, but that kicks off the Kate Goldman Children's Theater series. We also added a production. This was just announced last week. We've added a Christmas show. We're going to be doing a Charlie Brown Christmas. If you've ever seen the video, then this is the live version of it, and it's very sweet, and it's just a wonderful experience to get to know Charlie Brown. And then Dragons Love Tacos is a really hot production. Lots of kids are reading those in books, and everybody just has a good time. So if you've got children, you're a child at heart, or you've got grandchildren, this is a wonderful experience for them because they'll load the book, and then they can come see it brought to live on stage. And then finally, Ivy and Bean the Musical. This is something for a bit of our 4th through 8th graders. They really, again, seeing the books. You'll notice a theme, we connect a lot with books. It's important to take the word and bring it alive. I think as Innocent and I were talking about lunch, books are important, and we just really enjoy the books. So that's our children's theater and season, Kate Goldman Children's Theater's 4 shows. Something we introduced last year, and we're very excited because we are the only ones in the state of Iowa that are currently doing it, and that is the Penguin Project. This was very important to us. It's about accessibility, not just for our audiences, but for our performers. And the way it works is that our youth, our artists, are anywhere from the ages of 10 through 21. And all of them have some kind of a disability. But that doesn't prevent them from doing theater. But they have something that has just made them a little bit different than the rest of the world. And we pair them up with a mentor who's their age. So a 10 to 21-year-old mentor. So they work together. Now, the youth, as a rule, the artist can do anything. We're going to shape the role for their needs. If they're in a wheelchair, they get a costume that fits in a wheelchair. If they such as they might be deaf, then great, we give them a signer that works with them so they can, and speaks for them. We partner up with a mentor because sometimes the youth are also afraid. They get really nervous. They look out into that audience and they see 412 people actually, and they just freak out. Rather than disrupting the performance, their mentor steps in for them until they get their bravery that they need, and then they step in and fill in the role. Or, I can say the words, I can sing, I won't dance. Great, we won't make you do the dance number, we'll have somebody do the dance number for you. That's the Penguin Project. Last year was the very first time we did it. One quick story about it. We had a mentor who at the end of the show told her parents, I don't want any Christmas presents this year. I would like ASL classes. That's all I want for Christmas. Because she had already just discovered the power of the ability to communicate and connect with another human being using a slightly different language. We also had a parent who stopped me, not in this show, an audience member who stopped me one night. He'd come for a board meeting, and he said, I got to tell you, I appreciate the Penguin Project. For the first time, I could bring all of my children to the same production. It did not matter what their capabilities were. All of them could see the show. Because you didn't care that my youngest is on the spectrum and is not verbal. That didn't bother you. So if they're grunting and moaning, it didn't matter to you. And I said, of course not. We're here to serve the community. That's the Penguin Project. It's a very special project. This is the 2nd year we're doing it. So I just wanted to take a moment and really highlight how we contribute and bring theater to the whole community. All right. Another example, Kinky Boots, wonderful, huge hit. First time I've ever done this in my entire life. We actually added a performance weekend over Easter. I had never performed on Easter. I always said Easter was not an option. We had such demand, we added an Easter show for it. It was so popular. Everybody had a good time. Again, look at all the people it takes to make theater come alive. Let's talk about what's coming on the John Byers Theater, or used to be known as the Main Stage. We're going to kick off our season with the musical Once. Once is a story of a love story. This gentleman has lost all interest in life, no love for anything, music, girls, or anything, and he meets a person that inspires him to fall in love with music and perhaps possibly have a relationship. This particular production is going to be starring our artistic director, Katie Merriman. She's playing the female lead in this particular production. She hasn't been on our stage in 7 years. So, actually 6 years, because it was the summer of 2017, last time she was on our stage. Going to be an incredible musical. Then we have All Is Calm. All Is Calm, the Christmas Truce of 1914. Not a traditional Christmas show. We've done Christmas shows about princesses needing to be rescued or saying, I don't need a prince, I can still do my own thing. We love our Christmas shows, but this year, Christmas Truce of 1914 is an actual event that took place. In 1914, during World War I, the British and the Germans stopped fighting and got up out of their trenches and sang Christmas songs and spent a week without any battles of any kind. And All Is Calm captures that feeling. Group of 10 gentlemen who sing throughout the entire, it's a 75-minute long production, and we get to hear their stories, what they're doing and where they're from. Very different. We picked this play because we were in the middle of construction and we could not have a set change, we could not have a costume because none of those spaces were available to us. So it's a very simple production, but it's going to be very special and quite different than anything we've ever done. And if you've ever said to yourself, I don't want to see normal, come see All Is Calm. It's going to be quite the special experience. Then we come back with Our Town, a classic American tale. We're going to do Beautiful, the Carole King musical. You probably might have seen it at the Civic Center. It's just a lovely story of her life. The play that goes wrong, one of the things that's important when you come to theater is you just want to laugh. There is nothing here in this play that's just all laughs. The set falls down, the cast falls down, costumes fall down, so it's just a good time had by all. Just come and enjoy it, experience it. And then our summer show, again, we just announced this last week. School of Rock, the musical. 12 kids. The kids are required by contract to be able to play their own instruments. There will be no faking of the instruments. The youth will be playing the guitars, the drums, the keyboards that are required. That's what the contract requires and demands. We know we can do it. So School of Rock, we're very excited about that. That's that Jack Black movie some of you may have seen that got turned into a stage play, and it's very, very smart. So that's going to wrap up our 105th season. And all excitement, and I'm still doing okay time-wise, right?
Yep.
I got plenty, I'm going fast. So I want to talk about what else is going on at the Playhouse. We've been heavily involved in a capital campaign raising funds, and I know some of you in this room very supportive of the Playhouse and have reached out and contributed to the capital campaign, and we are very, very grateful. But some of you are like, I don't know anything about what's going on in this capital campaign. I don't know what you guys are doing, so I like the Playhouse and I support the Playhouse, but I want more information. So let me give you more information. First of all, we're going to be doing an improvement to the Kate Goldman Children's Theater. That's a theater that opened in 1995 and nothing has been done to it since. It has absolutely been, we've used it well, but it kind of is, it's showing its age, especially when you compare to the excitement in the John Byers Theater. So we want to do some massive improvements. We have problems. Our kids are on waiting lists. We have 200 youth that are stuck on waiting lists. They can't get classes because we don't have enough space to support them. We are not accessible in our seating. It's hard to find seating. We're not accessible with our hearing assist devices. We're just not really as accessible as we'd like to be for those who need that kind of accommodation. We also are not as flexible as we'd like to be for the community that needs performance spaces. Small little groups that say, I just need 100 seats for 2 nights. We want to be available to them for that. So it's very important to us. We also want that greater flexibility. When you walk into the Kate Goldman Children's Theater, we want you to not know what you're going to see. We don't know. We want the seating arranged in a totally different configuration because we can. And you'll experience the relationship between the audience and the performer very differently when it's in the round, when it's in an alley, when it's in the corner. It's going to be always a very special experience. These are things that are important to us. Ultimately, why are we doing this construction project? Why are we doing this capital campaign? right there, we think the kids in the community deserve better. That's important to us, part of our serving of the whole community. So, what are we doing? This is the drawings that we've done, the architects have given us to kind of work with, and I'm just going to go through many of the areas that are going to be changed and altered and shaped in response to what the community needs. We start with, of course, the theater itself. We're going to fix the floor, because it's a cement floor, which is not good for dancing. We're going to replace the seating. Those seats are 27 years old. We did have one seating company tells us, yeah, you will hate those seats long before they break. And that is very true. Our bottoms like seats a little bit more padded than those things are offer for us. We're going to improve our technology, our theater lighting, and our sound system, so it's again more universal and more accessible to us. Next thing we want to do is we want to add entrances so that the actors can come from any place in that space. Right now they come from only one door, which is, oh, they said this button works, but I probably, what did I just do? There we go. Okay. There we go. Oh, I can't, okay. Right there is one entrance that the actors use. We want to give them 4. That was important to us. Again, telling better stories. We also want to give us a little bit more storage space so we can have places to put our scenery and put our seating where we need it when we're not using it. We also, a costume shop. If you've ever been in our theater, a costume shop was the original kitchen of a barbecue restaurant from the 1940s, and it looks it. So so it's buried in the basement, no cell phone connectivity, no gorgeous windows. Even when it's a foggy view, it's still a beautiful view. No ability to see the outside. We're going to move the costume shop and give them a very, what we like to think of, OSHA appropriate space. We also want to give a little extra workroom, a little extra for our technicians. We want to give more dressing rooms. Currently our dressing rooms are designed to accommodate about 30 people. We often do shows with 40. And so they find themselves scattered throughout the building. You turn around when the bigger shows and you just never know where you're going to find somebody each out a little dressing room for themselves. We also have 2023 audiences are different. The days when you would just run off stage and drop trowel and get back on stage are gone. We have privacy concerns, respect for the individual. That's important to us. So we want to make sure we can accommodate those needs as well. We also, in that same area, are going to add a new restroom for the audience. It's going to be a gender-neutral restroom, but it's also going to be a family restroom. So anybody that has somebody in a wheelchair, they'll be able to go into that restroom and will have enough space. Our dream is actually to bring in and add an adult changing table as well. It's going to have the space for it, but an adult changing table is very expensive, so that's going to wait a couple of years. But it's going to have the space. So that's all going to be coming to serve everybody. Again, our goal, serve the whole community. We're going to shrink our box office. We used to have a very nice big box office because in the old days you had to have a ticket for every seat, for every show, of every performance. And it just took a lot of ticketing. Well, now our ticket is confined to a bread box, printer, and a little laptop. So we just need a little space. We're going to do that. We're going to turn this old former box office into waiting space for parents and other situations when you just need to kind of chill. We're going to change our parking. We're going to bring our handicap parking stalls closer to the front door. Right now, there's about as far away from the front door as they can be. We want to get them closer, so we're also adding 2 more. So we're going to have a total of 4 right there, front door, for everybody to use. We're going to be changing the classroom. The floor has been sunk. Did you guys know that this one time was the town dump for the state fair, when the state fair was on the west side of Des Moines at the turn of the 20th century? And this dirt, this land, was the dump for that state fair. So the soil is awful, and the soil shrinks. But the building is built on great pillars, and the building has never moved an inch, but these rooms are shrunk. So we're going to re-dig out the rooms and put in some support so they can stay flat. We're also adding another classroom so we can double our classroom opportunities. And we're going to shape the green room a little bit more to provide better accommodation and better adjustments for needs for each show. So that's all that's happening on the ground floor. Then we're adding a second floor, because you get architects in a room and they say, well, you know, for an extra little bit of money, you might as well have a second floor on your building. Why stop at 1? And I said, well, why not go to 3? And they said, because that's $1 million elevator, so you want to stop at 2. I said, okay, we'll stop at 2. But anyhow, so we've added to control booths so that we can control the theater technology in the new space. We're adding a conference room. You guys know what it's like. You used to hold board meetings in our West Lobby, but we're now going to have a conference room that's going to serve not only as a board meeting space, not only as a classroom, but also as an opportunity for our VIPs, our really strong supporters of the Playhouse who give a little extra support. They'll have a place to chill and hang out. A little bit like the Civic Center, only better. Okay, it'll also work as a classroom, and it's going to be a very, very active space. And finally, that's the entranceway to that, by the way, just a nice little, go right off the lobby. And then finally, we're also going to make our administrative offices, second floor, with glass, with connectivity. They can use cell phones. Right now, they go outside and stand on the street to talk on the cell phone because they're in the basement. So we're going to give them an administrative office, and we're going to combine us all together so we don't have to, we all collect a lot of steps looking for somebody in the building, so we're going to be able to have it all centrally located, and ideas and minds and craziness can all get together all at once. This is our second floor, and it's just allowing us to better efficiently serve the community. So that's kind of what's happening in our space. What we're proposing, construction. You all have probably dealt with this. Oh, there we go. You've all dealt with this, supply chain issues. We ordered a piece of equipment on the 1st of May. They've told us we hope it'll be delivered by the 1st of March. And we said, well, then we're going to wait until it arrives before we get started on construction. So we're actually starting construction in April of 2024. The idea of being completed by about October of 2024. And so we just continue our fundraising now, and we're working and the dreaming and the building and the fine tuning and the city permits and all that stuff, so we're not having to do a mad scramble at the end. So that is what is happening at the Playhouse for our 105th season and keeping 2023-2024 very, very active and all that's going on. And that leaves time for questions. So, anybody, I'm the executive director, I've been there for 6 years. John Byers has been there for 37 years, and he generously gave a gift to me. He left the state. He moved to Texas. So I didn't have to deal with that transition. But I tell you, he left and moved in January 2020, and in March he called me up and said, picked a good time to retire, didn't I? And I looked back at him and said, I'll trade places. Let me know. So anyhow, that's usually one of the questions. Where's John these days? John is in Texas, but he'll be coming back and doing the play that goes wrong for us. He'll be directing for the first time since he retired. Yes, sir.
Remind me who Kate Goldman was.
Kate Goldman. The question was, who was Kate Goldman and why did we name an entire children's theater after her? She actually was one of our original major teachers at the Playhouse. She began in the 60s and started our very, very active education program. We had always been doing theater for children since 1927, but it was in the 60s that we actually made the education program, and Kate Goldman was the head of it for many, many years. And although we anticipate a naming situation where we would change the name of the theater to something else, just as a recognition of a donation, it will always be known as the Kate Goldman Children's Theater Series. So when you buy tickets to the children's shows, it'll be the Kate Goldman Theater Series, much like other theaters do. But thank you for that question.
Somebody asked what David Goldman, her son, was my co-sponsor in this Rotary Club.
Oh, there we go. Yes. Yes.
And the other thing, Harold Goldman, her husband, was one of the co-builders of the Southern Hills development.
So somebody just mentioned, I'm talking into the microphone, is that the relationships between the Goldmans is just as strong for this Des Moines Rotary as well, in that David Goldman served as a sponsor for more than one, I'm sure, and that Harold Goldman was quite the developer in the community. And I saw a hand clear back there. Yes, sir.
Hi, David.
Hi.
So first off, I guess I just start with kudos.
Well, thank you, Jason.
My son River was in the camp the day the crayons quit, and just had an amazing time. I believe he's watched Little Shop of Horrors every single day since that camp ended. But my question was, what age groups is it for the full productions of the children's?
Our children's, the question had been, what is the age range for our children's theater productions? It's based on the casting size. I will share with you, we try not to go younger than 8, partly it's whoa, I keep losing it, and I'm not touching anything. Partly it's just development. Prior to 8, they may not understand what it is that they're really doing. At 8, they can begin to imagine this telling of a story. But as some shows, we require them to be a little bit older, but it's only because of the story, the nature of what we're telling. I will assure you though, and I promise every one of you, don't decide, show up. You just never know. We've had some very, very mature 6-year-olds, and we've had some very, very immature 16-year-olds. And so we've also had some immature 45-year-olds, but that's a different story. But let us decide. If there's an interest, come, try it out, check it out, regardless of your age, regardless of what you look like or what you think. It is fascinating. I share this story quickly in that Cinderella. I don't know how many got a chance to see Cinderella over the holidays. We had the person who auditioned for Cinderella. Somebody was saying to her, why don't you audition? She says, there's no way you're going to cast me. I am the wrong color and the wrong size. I will not get cast. She showed up and was such an incredibly beautiful singer and created a wonderful character that just made everybody that interacted with her so perfect. And she was so innocent and naive and hopeful that I could not but cast her. And she was still shocked. She got the call. And I was like, that's because you let us decide. You showed up. That's the important thing. So, Jason, don't keep him away because he's under 8 if he's underage.
He's
So,
8, so
perfect. Excellent. Yes?
You also need to know that Kate Goldman is the head of a group in this town of very significant women. And it's called Know Your Neighbor. And it was in the 60s, and its focus was civil rights.
Oh, in the 60s, that was quite a statement. So this gentleman was pointing out, for taping purposes, Kate Goldman was in a very, very active and committed project called Know Your Neighbor here in Des Moines. And it was in the 60s dedicated to race and civil rights. So Kate Goldman, clearly a significant, for somebody who's not from Des Moines, I did not understand and totally respect all these things. So thank you for sharing that. So excellent. I see a hand over here. Yes, sir.
So what's like the inflow compared to the way it used to be? Are kids still going into music and theater in the numbers that they were, or is it a struggle? Adults still going into music and theater and wanting to do this? Do you have way more people coming in than you could use? And I'm sure the pandemic affected that in some ways.
The question was, what's our inflow? What's our traffic, either as performers, kids taking classes, and participating in theater? Because high schools and middle schools have diminished a lot, there are very active. This town actually has some incredible high schools that build performing arts centers and give their youth opportunities, which is wonderful because it feeds each other. But unfortunately, yes, internationally as an industry, there's been a great decline. For us, though, we've seen just an incredible demand continues for youth, for theater, in part because it's a shorter commitment. Unlike a sports program where you start and you're going to do that sport, you got to do it year-round if you're going to be competitive. At theater, you can do it in about 12 weeks and you're done and move on and try a different project. And yet you're going to learn things in those 12 weeks that will affect you for the rest of your life. The ability to speak, the ability to be brave, the ability to be creative, the ability to communicate and work with each other and meet deadlines. These are things you learn in theater. So anyhow, for us, our audience has been just a touch smaller than we would like it pre-COVID, but our support has been so much bigger that it's actually been stronger. And it's given us the courage to go and do things that might not necessarily be things we would have been afraid to do before. But we said, COVID allowed us to change the rules, let's change the rules. And until we hear from people saying, stop, you've changed too many rules, we're going to keep playing. But thank you for asking. Is that it? Oh,
Perfect.
such a wonderful time. Thank you all so very much.
Wow, so many wonderful opportunities that we have for entertainment. I want to thank you, David, for spending time with us today. And we thank you for sharing that informative message. And so grateful for the live performance opportunities that the Playhouse gives our community all year long. And now, as a thank you for the certificates, one more time, thank you very much for bringing those certificates along. I'm sure our two possessors of those certificates will enjoy that. And as a token of our appreciation for you, we've donated a book in your honor to the Des Moines Public Library.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Your book will become part of the Rotary Rosie Reader Van collection. And this is a club donated van. We donated $40,000 to the Des Moines Public Library Foundation to purchase this van in 2020, and it travels throughout the Des Moines neighborhoods, giving children access to books to read. So thank you again for being here. Now, let's turn our attention to the flyers on your table. Take a look at those, and we've got some events to share with you. I told you at the beginning of the year, we promised you 2 other activities each month that you can take advantage of to partake and get to know some of our Rotary members. So a few of these upcoming events, just want to let you know, in addition to our every Thursday at noon, we are going to be having a road trip. If you're an early bird and you want to join us, there's 2 of us I know for sure that are going. We're going to take a road trip to Cedar Rapids on Sunday, July 30th, to the Cedar Rapids Airport to witness the 9 a.m. touchdown and help welcome home Rotarians Peter Tien and John Ockenfalls. Both District 6000 Rotarians, and they're both members of the International Fellowship of Flying Rotarians. Those 2 guys are flying a single-engine plane. They've been flying around the world. They're going to complete their final leg on their 90-day, 25,323-mile trip, flight to end polio. So thanks to a 2-to-1 match from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, each donor dollar that they've received is going to become $3. And those 2 gentlemen paid all the expenses for this trip out of their own pocket. So this is all pure a donation to the polio fund. So we want to help them commemorate this outstanding achievement on Sunday morning. There's a pancake breakfast and information. So if you're so inclined to head east on I-80 to be part of this magnificent landing event, it'd be great to have some other folks join us from our Rotary Club, celebrating their monumental journey. Also, we're introducing our Second Chance Tuesdays. Now what is that, you might ask? Well, on the second Tuesday of each month, it's a second chance for us to get together as Rotarians. Maybe there's somebody you'd like to get to know better, want to grab them for coffee. We're going to be meeting, or other libations. We have arranged to be at the Big Grove Brewery and Tap Room off of Ingersoll. That's in the former Crescent Chevrolet building. And they got a spot for us in the southeast corner of that restaurant, and it's close to the self-service bar. So the Big Grove managers, they're ready for us to come, however few or many that decide to gather. And again, we're going to launch this on August 8th, the second Tuesday of August, and it's an informal opportunity to get to know each other better, get to know each other better. And you decide if you want to have something to food or drink, it's on you, and you get to decide. So really hope to make advantage of this opportunity to meet up and get to know each other better. Then, August 24th, Music in the Gardens. The Greater Des Moines Botanical Garden has invited us to be their guests. So members of our club can go attend the garden event on the evening of August 24th. And you tell them that you're with the Rotary Club of Des Moines, you get free entrance into the event. They've waived the entrance fees, and they will have chairs and tables for us on the patio. So for this time, you wouldn't have to bring your lawn chair, which is how you typically go to that event. So think about that, joining us there. And then our big fall bash. Thank Fall evening social event at Jester Park in the beautiful Nature Center up there. And we want you to bring your guests, bring prospective members, think about who you can invite to attend this event so they can get to know all of us that are there as Rotarians. And it's going to be a fun-filled evening of fun, food. I don't know, have any of you heard of What You Smokin'? A barbecue place? Yeah, so it's good, isn't it? Texas-style barbecue from Luther, Iowa. You don't want to go there before nights of Iowa State games because people come in and they swamp that place. So they're going to be catering, and we're going to have lots of friendship in this beautiful, gorgeous, natural Iowa setting. Really important, especially new members, heads up, we're really going to showcase our new members that have come on board with us since COVID, and want to encourage prospective members to be there, as well as your friends and family members. We're going to make this a family-friendly event. We will have beer and wine there. And upcoming meetings, let's talk about that. On August 3rd, our own Grape Edwards will be here telling us what's new in Catch Des Moines as a Catch Des Moines CEO. And then on August 10th, Kevin Foley, who's the Des Moines Airport Executive Director, has got some interesting news to share with us. And I gotta tell you, I understand on August 17th, we got 2 different people that are vying to come talk to us. So as that's getting sorted out, we'll figure out which one's coming on the 17th of August, and we'll have the other one at another day. So what a nice problem to have. So we are definitely the podium of Des Moines, and I want to thank our committee for arranging these wonderful speakers for us. And you can always check in the club bulletin and click on the site to find out who the speakers are lined up. We've got some out through October, I think it is. So you can always check there for the latest live list. So, thank you for being with us today and being such a vital part of the Rotary Club of Des Moines. And until we meet again, let's get out there and have fun and do some good in the name of Rotary. And we are adjourned.